Hey guys, what's up? We are here 3 days, I think, out from seeing Final Fantasy 15 Kingsglaive in theaters. This was an exclusive showing. There's not a lot of showings in Austin or really anywhere, so it was really hard for us to get into. But I'm glad that I saw it.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Because this thing is freaking crazy.
This is good.
This is an amalgamation of almost all the different things that you can think of. It's got freaking Lord of the Rings. It's got medieval. It's got sci-fi. It's got fucking Power Rangers.
There's like
even.
Star Wars even
There's
in it
Star
too.
Wars
It's like
a little bit.
crazy.
Force light. Some of the best Force lightning I've seen in films, and it's crazy. It's hard to keep track. It's almost one of those things that you need 2 viewings to understand what the hell is happening. But we'll try to summarize it here for you. The kingdom of Lucian, I think, is one of the last standing kingdoms that is able to use, originally in this world, it's, I forget what the world is called, Eon or something. It's like an Earth-like world where you have these medieval nations, but also advanced technology as well, which is cool. And they all have crystals, but it turns out that eventually the only remaining kingdom that has a crystal left is Lucian, that uses it to protect their city in this bubble, because the empire of
Niflheim?
Niflheim. The empire of Niflheim is invading, taking over everybody, and these are really the last guys who are holding out under the command of King Regis, who is able to sort of share his power with an elite group of soldiers called the Kingsglaive, and these are our protagonists. So at the beginning of the film, it sets up how there's a lot of interplay between kingdoms here, and it's got that medieval tone because they're trying to marry off daughters and negotiate. Well, they use the kingdom of Niflheim uses this opportunity to attack the Lucian royal family and kill them off. In the chaos, the king has to leave behind his daughter and I don't know, his daughter or niece or somebody, right?
His daughter,
and to protect his son, and that really pisses off the niece's brother. And this big general attacks, who's in this badass armor you've probably seen in the trailers, and this guy is freaking sweet. He's a general of the Niflheim forces. And so time passes, that was 12 years ago, and now the Niflheim Empire is pretty much won against everybody except for the Lucian Empire. And they use, they offer a peace treaty, and this sets up the story for an epic fight between the 2 kingdoms.
Are we just keeping it? Is it just Niflheim?
It is Niflheim.
It's Niflheim.
Niflheim.
Just clarifying.
What did you think of the film?
The action scenes were insane.
Yeah.
Like
For
what I've
sure.
said from the beginning, if you've seen Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, you'll be right at home.
You know, I didn't see Advent Children. I saw Final Fantasy, The Spirits Within, which was fucking garbage. It was terrible. It was boring. It was so boring. And I was like, this has nothing to do with Final Fantasy. And I was like, what does this have to do with Final Fantasy? Like, I think the doctor's name is like Sid is the only tie-in. And so this film is way better than that. And on that alone, I was a little hyped up. But we do have to talk about the characterization of the Kingsglaive soldiers. So you have one main guy whose name is Nyx, I think, N-Y-X. And then you have one of his lifelong friends, Lucius. So, I don't know, man. These names are hard. Libertus?
Yeah.
Libertus. These names are hard to remember. And, you know, so they focus on sort of them for most of the film, along with the princess, who is supposed to be married to the main character from the upcoming game, Noctis. Though, in this film, don't expect to see Noctis. I think maybe you see him a little bit at the beginning, but then you never see him again.
I don't think you see him at the beginning.
Yeah, no, his father is saving him. From the attack when they were being ambushed.
As a baby.
And then you never see him again, and I'm like, what? I don't understand. Why is he... Like, where is he this whole time? But then at the end, stay after the credits. There is an after-credits scene that sets up the film and shows a little bit of Noctis. But overall, what did you think of the film?
I think it was a great action film.
Really?
Absolutely great.
Yeah?
Yeah, I had a great time watching it. I wasn't bored at all.
Entertaining the whole way through. Were you lost at all? Because for me, I got lost a little bit.
there were a couple story elements that, were kind of out of place. But, I mean, I went into it thinking it was an action movie, and so I just took it as an action movie.
Yeah.
So...
And I think it helps that I went into it thinking Spirits Within, and what I got was an action movie. And this is some of the most creative action scenes. If you can describe the first battle, Del, when they were in the desert. So, at the start of the film, they are fighting. Niflheim. They do not want to surrender to Niflheim, and they've got these Kingsglaive, which are the most badass soldiers.
Yeah, they're like a ragtag group of people that like were losing their homes, and they recruited them to basically like they're orphans or something or another.
Yeah, they recruited. They're all people from outside the city, along with one or two from the city that does have the bubble crystal.
And the intro, the fighting scene at the beginning, like sets up what's going on, like the strife, the fighting, all that. And it's like this bridge, this massive bridge with this huge fort on it. And you're like, all right, you see them, they're fighting, they're using magic that the king gave them. And then they're like sending in huge-ass monsters start showing up.
There's like soldiers, medieval-looking knights with machine guns and fucking Klindathu arachnids coming in, Starship Troopers,
and then kaiju comes,
and then kaiju's coming in. And you're like, what the fuck is happening? No, not kaiju's. They're flying in demons. They're literal demons coming in on Chinook helicopters. Well, they're just troop transports dropping these massive demons
which shoot missiles.
Which shoot bajillion missiles, and there's just explosions, and the Kingsglaive are all sharing the power of the crystal, which allows them to like teleport. They throw their knives, which is a really cool thing. It's a cool concept
like mage blade.
that I've not seen in any other movie. So you throw the knife goes as far as you can throw it,
like
then you can teleport there. And it's cool because it's powerful, but yet has limitations. But then the movie shows how these soldiers have creatively worked around the limitations, like throwing it, and they know it's not going to reach their target. Like at a point in the film, ships are taking off, and they're like, we need to get on those ships. So they throw it as far as they can, teleport in, and they realize, oh shit, and then they throw it again as fast as they can. It's just so cool.
It's also worth mentioning that they can like control fire and shit too. Like a few of them were able to like use fire and throw fireballs and stuff.
Well, there were a few of them that could call in a tornado, a fire tornado.
Yeah, and so you have a crow, I think her name is, or something similar to that, where it's a group of females who have more mage-like powers, and and you're like, how the hell is this army ever going to win? But she and a couple of other her squad mates are able to summon these vast, destructive, magical powers to even out the battle. So the opening battle was amazing. There's also an ending battle towards the end of the film that involved these massive demons, and the empire or the last remaining bastion, Noctis, has something to counter this. They have the new wall and the old wall. The new wall falls, as you see, and that creates the conflict in the film, and the old wall they use to try to stop this last invasion. So right away, as you can see by our excitement, we were so into the action. The visuals in this movie are amazing.
Fantastic. It's like some of the best CGI I've ever seen.
No, the motion capture was on.
The motion capture is insane. And there's so much going on in like every freaking scene.
Detail, and the hair, usually CGI sucks at hair, and they got the hair right, but lip syncing, is good.
I mean, I was expecting it to be them doing the lip sync to Japanese, since it is a Square Enix thing. But no, they did all the lip syncing to English.
So I'm wondering if they had to re-render every single scene and do English instead of Japanese.
Awesome. They actually put the
They had English actors in here. You had Sean Bean as the king, and yes, the Sean Bean curse continues. Slight spoiler. And, well, you know that from the games. And then
everybody dies in Final Fantasy games.
And there's Linda Headley, who I think is, you know her as from Game of Thrones, Cersei. And then there's also
Aaron Paul.
Aaron Paul is in the film as
I kept
Nyx.
expecting him to utter bitch at some point.
Bitch!
I was waiting for bitch. And
it was
Shut up,
well done. Like, that's the best way to put it. Is the voice acting? Everything was good.
So the voice acting was good. The action was good. And the visual effects were like need to be seen in a big screen theater. However, I think I'm a little less enthusiastic about the film as a full recommendation because of the story and the characters. There is not much characterization to some of the characters that die early on to where you have an emotional investment. At no point in the film did I have an an emotional investment. It was more just an insane roller coaster ride where just crazy shit keeps happening.
Although you do build to hate the bad guy. Like over the course of the movie, I wanted the big dude in the
evil
armor
king,
to die. Yeah, that's what
I hated the king, and the Niflheim king, and the Niflheim general.
Yeah, I hated the general. And the king.
And we'll talk spoilers here after we give you a review, and we'll pack it into one video because I do want to get into some of the spoilers so we can lead into the video game. So, as a film, how do you think this is for people who don't know anything about Final Fantasy? Do you think it's a good film for those kinds of people to watch?
Yeah, because it started the story pretty well. You don't have to have any previous knowledge of anything in order to get into this.
Mm-hmm. And that's me. I don't have a whole lot of knowledge in Final Fantasy. Unfortunately, the knowledge I have is Lightning's games, and I haven't played 7. I haven't played any of those. I played a little bit of the MMO when it first came out, which was garbage, and then they redid it, and then it was a little more fun.
Yeah, it's good.
But 15 is where I'm jumping in, so I had no idea what the fuck is going on.
You're only 15
All I know is
behind.
that crystals are like super powered in this world. There's just lots of Noctis, Crystallis, or whatever it is, and so that powers a lot of the shit. And then you have these cool concept of this technology magi or Magitech. That's what it was. That was really cool too. That's what the bad guys use, and I thought it was just awesome. Just combining demons and Power Rangers and Lord of the Rings, because they had a ring in this film, which is a way to control some of the hair's power or the king's power, but no, it had even more power than that. It tied into the deities of the world, I guess.
It's so crazy.
And the deities can grant temporary power to anybody that owns this ring, and this ring becomes a subplot in this film. And I wonder if maybe in the Final Fantasy 15 game we're gonna see this ring again, or we're gonna see this old wall and all these other things, which I'm excited to. So what did this film do? It was a great piece of promotion from the game. Made me want to play the game a lot more than I already wanted to play.
Honestly, I wasn't really interested in Final Fantasy 15 at all. Mm-hmm. And then I saw this.
I was the opposite.
Yeah, and then I saw this. I was like, okay, I'm definitely buying it now.
Wow, that's interesting. I was already interested in it, and this film was just like, I'm glad that I went to this and got more context. However, in my opinion, if you're not going to buy the game and you're not into Final Fantasy, and then it's probably not a recommendation from me, because there are many points where you're going to get lost. They don't do a good job of explaining some of the backstory. It's difficult. I mean, it's a 2-hour movie that has such lore, mythology in it that it's really difficult. And also the characters don't have any emotional investments from me. And there were, quite a few tropes in it. You can kind of tell what was coming before it happened when they reveal who is this and that, But what about you, Del?
If you're looking at it as like a storyline thing, as Beard will tell you and I'll tell you, most Final Fantasies don't make a lot of fucking sense. Like, there's very little sense to be made of most of the stories. Like, you'll be like, oh, this guy's the bad guy. Oh, suddenly old gods. What the hell is this dude? Crystals control everything? What the fuck?
Yeah, and then you have these two soldiers battling, and their titans are battling at the same time. It was just awesome.
If you look at it straight up as like an action movie, a good way to compare it is freaking Power Rangers type of movie. You go into it, shit happens, lots of fighting, explosions, things like that. As far as an action movie standpoint goes, I think it's worth seeing once. I think that to really enjoy it, you just have to go in and see it as an action movie. A movie where shit's gonna hit the fan multiple times. It's gonna blow your mind as more shit just starts happening. But were you
invested in the characters is what I'm trying to
I was invested in wanting Nyx to kill the bad guys, but that was about it. I was like, the final battles and stuff were like, kick his ass. Yeah, I felt like that.
So in my opinion, we're gonna go and give final verdicts. Yep. So Del, we'll start with you. What's your final verdict on
straight up action movie? Considering I didn't care if they screwed up the story, like I just Final Fantasies to me, like okay, so it wasn't ever boring. I have to say that. Like,
would you rewatch it?
I would rewatch it. The story wasn't nearly as bad as some other movies that we've gone and seen lately. So, as an action movie and the CGI with the visuals, the combat, the voice acting, the freaking detail and everything, I gotta give it an 8. It's an 8 for me. It's a really good animated movie.
And Bear, what would you give it out of 10?
For me, I would put it up there with Advent Children. And I know you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it. I need to see that.
I love it.
Because I thought the only other one was Spirits Within, and I was like, damn, this did much better.
Yeah.
I would put it up there with Advent Children. I would put it up there with some of my top.
Do you like
action
Advent Children better?
Only because I play Final Fantasy VII, so the nostalgia kind of hits me a little bit more.
Okay.
But overall, I put it up there with one of my top action films, so I'd have to give it an easy 9.
Wow! Holy shit! I feel a little out here when
it was thoroughly entertaining, and I would definitely watch it again.
There's so many freaking giant robots and shit and everything. It's like, what the hell, Joe? Like, it's everything Pacific Rim.
It is.
Could have been.
It is everything, Del. But that sometimes at a certain point, all this piles up, and you're so confused, you're so lost.
I was just into it.
You were into it. So I initially was gonna give it a 6, but after I think about all the battle sequences and all of the thought and the character designs, I mean like costume designs, visual designs, the spectacle of the full animation. Everybody loves when they do the cutscenes in the Final Fantasy game, and the fact this is one full film
like
of
a whole cutscene.
is just really interesting. And I love the world, the medieval mixed with sci-fi is so cool to me. But yet you have sort of these families and
like the city looked like a modern.
And you mixed everything I like together. So instead of a 6, I do think it gets a 7 for that because of the fact that the action's so good. But realize in order to get the 7, you got to turn off your brain, because I think a lot of the character motivations are a little nonsensical, a little weak. It does rely on a lot of tropes from time to time. There's kind of some odd product placement there with Audi, but it kind of fit because they needed a cool badass car in this world. And Audi cars are fucking awesome. The R8 is sweet, so I didn't mind it at all. But I wanted to point it out. And then and the fact that I didn't really believe that that one guy. Well, we'll talk about that in spoilers. So stick around for spoilers. A solid 7 out of 10 for me. 8 out of 10. 9 out of 10. If you're gonna play Final Fantasy 15 and you're excited about it as I am, definitely go see it.
Yes.
If you don't give a shit about Final Fantasy, you don't plan to play the game, and you don't like Japanese visual designs, you're probably not gonna enjoy it, and you're gonna be lost the whole time.
It's very Japanese.
It is very out there.
I really have to point out.
But it's got fucking giant robots,
demons, like kaijus, Starship Troopers, shit, robot
medieval
armies.
shit. My rating's about to go up to 8, and then you got machine guns,
machine guns, like robot mech warrior,
big ass tornadoes.
Like, what the hell?
Okay, but the thing is, I would rewatch this too, and I definitely want to grab the DVD and see what kind of bonus extras they have. But if you had really got me with the characters and every single one of them was a badass, then I would have liked it a little bit more. But I'm interested. Will we see Nyx, who, is in the film and has a conclusion, but will we see him in the game? Will we see his friend Libertas in
I'm pretty sure we will.
I know we're gonna see the princess. I know we're gonna get little things to his father, the Regis, the king, Noctis' father, even though in this film he has a conclusion. And then what bad guys? Obviously Niflheim is still the bad guy, but are we gonna be fighting that general?
Damn you, Niflheim!
I want to fight that counselor dude.
The counselor,
I
with the weird bird arm.
I want to punch him in the face so hard.
Yeah, he was pretty annoying, but so well voice acted, well directed. The action sequence is crazy, visuals out of this world. Designs is so creative, but it needed a little bit more character development and interaction. But other than that, I definitely recommend it if you're gonna get the game. It's gonna give a lot more context, and you're just gonna enjoy yourself. It is an enjoyable pleasure. So that's it for this one, and stick around for the spoiler section, and we will see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show.